I don't know, 6-7 years ago. And we just explored this idea of these women being superheroes and being able to see like how this legacy was passed down through the generations. So it became this opportunity to not only make a movie about K-pop, but also show so many sides of Korean culture and our history. And then also to show, the modern day hunters, like the girls that we know as huntrix. And then about a year into kind of me gathering ideas, and at the time, like the Saja boys were still, were an idea. They were there from the very beginning. And just playing around with the idea of our main character, spoiler alert, half demon. And as I was gathering all these thoughts, that's when Chris came on, and we really tried to figure out a way to connect this idea of okay, demon hunters and music. What is the link between the two?
Yeah, and I think that was when I first sat down with Maggie. She had so many really clear, brilliant parts of the vision already, I could tell. And so I kind of pitched her on this, somewhat nervously, on this idea that we could do a story that was about, among many things, about the power of music, which sounds so cheesy, but it's true. And I'm a lifelong musician, and Maggie's the first gen K-pop fan, so I think we both kind of lived that experience, and we really bonded around that idea, and it really became a question of how to dramatize that. And the hunters, obviously that sent us back into these Korean traditions of folk dance, and the hunters, and even the honmun, which is just a word that Maggie made up, that she always said the whole time we're working on the movie. She's like, I don't know about this word, it sounds kind of
so stupid.
And then every time we'd record a Korean voice talent, they'd be like,
what is this?
What is the honmun?
And I had to just made it up.
But obviously it's really a way to, sort of talk about, a way to visualize the power of music. We always talked about that feeling in a concert when you get butterflies. What is that? Only music does that thing to us. And so that's sort of what the mythology started to try and evolve.
We made that an actual visible thing.
Yeah.
And that's what creates the honmun.
Yeah. This is some beautiful work from Ami Thompson, showing what Maggie described, that kind of journey of that tradition of this kind of superhero lineage through all the eras of Korean music history, which brought us all the way forward to, obviously, our hunters. And I think that was, as Maggie described, just this great opportunity to do these women who were obviously incredibly glamorous and badass, and they kick demon ass, and they put on makeup while they're free falling through the sky, right? But also, another really important thing that Maggie wanted to show, which was the other side.
Yeah, just women being real, and in a very congested, genre of superhero movies. And, we were seeing female superheroes. We're seeing Black Widow, Gamora, and I love them. They're great. They're cool characters. They're super badass. They're sexy. They're both feminine and masculine, but I felt like there was still a gap, to be filled, which was just very relatable girls who hate mornings, who bond over food, who are silly. I hadn't seen female characters, whether they're animals or humans, or toys, be really silly. And I have been in rooms working on films where I would pitch that the female character could be the silliest one, and they were like, no thanks. And so it's this weird thing in animation where we've had this fear of depicting female characters ugly, and I really wanted to break that. Because when Helen and I go to eat, it's really ugly, guys. And I really wanted that on screen. A few years ago we did a mukbang for LightBox, and that was kind of a banger. We should definitely do it again. But
I don't appreciate the drive-by shooting, by the way.
Just have to own it. Yeah, isn't that amazing? So it was a way to the movie. We really wanted to showcase just the realness of women and, the silly sides. And we wanted to go as silly as we can on one side so that we could go just as dramatic on the other side. And we just love that contrast and the balance of these polar opposite feelings existing on a film. And this is one of Helen's I don't know, one of her first paintings that she did of Rumi, and this is, you know, she's just torn and broken, and this is where emotionally we just, our target to get to land to. And we really feel like the story about these girls who have to hide parts of themselves, or feel that they have to hide parts of themselves from the ones that they love, the people that they love the most, you know, come out of that. They come out sharing all of their true selves with each other, and unite, and in the process, like, of defeating their inner demons and fighting real demons, they show the light to other characters as well. And we feel like this has been a very universal message, and what has, you know, really kind of made this kind of a global thing with fans all around the world.
Clearly, you've connected.
Yeah, I think so. And it's great because we hear stories of how people connect to the movie, and it's ways that we would have never thought. You know, it's really great. And we could talk more about that later.
I'm gonna go super fast through this research. So
I know, I feel like we're like showing off that we went to Korea or something.
Yeah. We did research trip. It was amazing. We saw all these things that you see in the movie. We drew inspiration from folk art for some of our design motifs. This is Jeannie Lee, an amazing artist in Korea. We ate and drank a lot. Yeah. Obviously, food is a love language, and so is drinking. We also took a lot of inspiration from sort of, yes, we're going to ground it in a contemporary soul, but we're going to use a color and atmospheric identity inspired by Sailor Moon, those old backgrounds that are so technical and beautiful, right? And is this your session? No. Okay, good.
No, you keep going.
Then Sony Imageworks just modeled the entire city of Seoul.
They're like, we're going to need to build this whole city. And we're like, really? And they just did it.
And then obviously, my wife is Korean. When I showed her this page, she's like, I feel seen finally in animation.
I showed this to my daughter, and she pointed right at F, and she was like, "Oma." And I was like, yeah, it's true.
Oh, it's Helen's section. Yay.
Yeah. So these are really early scopes where we hadn't finalized Rumi yet, but as you saw from the previous slide, we really wanted to like hang on to this anime aesthetic and what that would mean translated in like a 3D context. So Omar Smith modeled these off of some of those expressions, and he, and of course it's all cheated. And it took seeing it like this to be like, oh, we can actually do this. We can make the swap between their beautiful aesthetic, perfect K-pop feeling, and then go into silly and switch out the eyes or lose pupils and things like that.
Can we also comment on the braid?
Yeah.
That braid was so hard to do, guys. Like, I don't know how many meetings we had about that dang braid.
I know.
But obviously this is like an earlier version, but it was hard to figure out. And so
Gina's hair too.
Yeah, but good luck, moms, trying to do that hair this weekend and next weekend for Halloween.
Oh yeah, Wendell will go into this more, but when it came to lighting, we really were, both Maggie and I really wanted to see influences that you don't typically pull into animation, editorial, music video, fashion, and that sort of ambition to take the whole movie and put a kind of stylized lens on it. It made everything, even a trip to the doctor's office, slightly elevated. Was really important. It was awesome. The crew completely rose to the occasion. This is Won Sol-hyun who did these amazing paintings, because the studio was a little like these ancient hunter ladies, like, are they gonna be cool? And we're like, dude, they're gonna be so cool.
We're starting so old-timey.
Yeah.
We're like, yeah, but they're gonna be so cool.
So Wansel did amazing paintings, and they're like, oh. Yeah. This is a first look at picture test where we put some of those lighting, beautiful, right? Some of those lighting ideas into these beautiful sculpted characters, and it started to feel like we had a movie.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go really fast. This is just to talk about Golden, which is obviously the other big innovation in the film, was trying to do these pop songs that were truly pop songs and truly essential story scenes in the movie. And that took a tremendous amount of almost like writing them all 2 or 3 times, or sometimes 8 times. Yeah. Really talented musicians, songwriters that we collaborated with, and a great music director, executive music producer Ian Eisendrath. So we can talk more about that stuff, but let's get to Helen.
So one of the things we wanted to do when I came on this show that we had talked about is like it's so funny. I spent most of my career was at Disney, but I actually grew up an anime kid, not a Disney kid. And so we felt like with K-pop and the Korean influence and manhwa, and just there's a thing about Eastern aesthetics that we thought that we could bring into the movie visually. And so that's why Chris mentioned Sailor Moon. That was one of the touchstones, and just bringing that influence in like a Western animation felt fresh. But when you say that, when you see a drawing, you still have to like do all this translation. So one of the things we started off dissecting is like, how do we approach textures for these characters? They have to be heightened, they have to feel, so we played a lot with specular materials and matte materials. We didn't want to lean into hyper-realism by like, now that there's a possibility of making sure that you get lint and all this stuff in 3D, there's like an impulse to want to use all those tricks. And it was actually about paring down, making every texture clean. And that also lent into their kind of like K-pop personas that these costumes have to be so put together.
But also like just the luxe factor of it,
Yes.
like everything had to look expensive because these idols are fancy.
Yeah. Actually, I remember we saw like a first pass of the Gear Up costumes where the leather wasn't quite right. It felt like a leather that felt like you would get on a briefcase. And we're like, no, we actually have to do something different. Yeah. And another thing that's we hadn't seen in animation as much is makeup and nails.
Yeah. Helen and I were like,
Manicures.
let's, for the first time, not have just purple and blue eyeshadow on female characters.
It's been a rough
nail
road.
art. Yeah.
And also, I joke about this too, but it's like I've drawn so many Converse shoes across all the anime shoes at like shows we've ever been on, and this one I was like, I'm not doing it anymore, no more. So we went through, and do I just click to play?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So some of the other things we also tried is that you actually saw in a lot of Ami's concept art is this kind of like zigzag hair pattern, and it's actually built into the groom, and it's a special specular response that the amazing magicians at Imageworks just figured out and can control and art direct, and that's just a little bit of like how we incorporated the anime vibe into these things. Have you
Dude,
seen this?
I don't even think I've seen this. I'm like learning stuff today.
It's been a while. You were there.
Yeah. We talked about the zigzag hair a lot.
Yeah, we loved that in Ami's work, and we were like, can we get this, please? And they were like, yeah, there you go.
We had so many talks about the direction of how it goes and how it'll flow with the braid. And then on top of that, like, not only did we have such high goals for the costumes, there were so many of them. So the character design,
The most ever.
Yes.
Yeah, you actually know what's the number?
We ended up with 75 costumes.
Yes. Scott Watanabe, the character art director, designed all these costumes, and him and his character team had to do every little detail. So it would start from a concept like this, and then Anicho, one of our artists, would break down these details and make sure everything is like, nothing on this movie has not been touched with like just the most attention to detail.
So you know that Rumi patch? We just sent it to legal with one R, and they're like, no, you can't do this. And we're like, really? So I literally sat there and I was like, really? I didn't even know how many R's there were, and they were like, okay, this is good, and it just became a thing.
I think Mira's T-shirt, the writing on there.
Oh yeah. We went through
too.
like I think 3 or 4 different, just to get through legal.
And then each costume has its unique makeup look and nails. So
there's a lot of things to track.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. Did you end up tracking? Or was it production?
We did.
I'm counting makeup changes for that 75. So
I think
hair,
animation.
nails, the jewelry was a thing.
Yeah.
Animation tracked a lot of it.
Same with Gear Up. This is actually one of the first costumes we finished.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is one of the Gear Up makeup looks.
Because it was the first scene that we animated.
We learned a ton of them.
Yeah.
It's like 11 seconds. It goes by fast.
It's 13 seconds. Nathan
13.
confirmed
13.
yesterday.
And then, of course, the finale costumes. And then on top of that, Meg, do you want to talk about this?
Yeah. It was really important for me to have a look with no makeup. I think, it's another kind of, way of really showing the realness of women. And we used this look when the girls are the most vulnerable with each other and most truthful. So like even in that scene where like Mira confronts Rumi in her bedroom and wants to get real, like they are wearing makeup because Rumi's not ready to talk deeply yet. So we used it just in the most vulnerable moments, and even working with Spy, they're like, do you really want like red, this much red on their eyes? I'm like, yes. Do you really want these bags? I'm like, yep.
Yeah, this is the only makeup look I did for the movie, which is like nothing.
But it's hard. It's hard to do this.
Yeah. I was like, I really got to channel my sparse eyebrows. And so this is where the costume chart started, and it blew up from here. But this is how Scott ended up. We needed to track per sequence, and then we came up with this idea to do like a casual closets thing that was supposed to make things easier, but it's
this
like
was
the
I
mix and
hate
match.
looking at this thing. It just brings me flashbacks. You're like, can you please do this? And I'm like, okay.
I don't think that includes any of the montages.
Yeah, I thought this one was a video, but I don't think so.
Well, yeah, I think the costumes are like, it's like 3 times as wide.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
insane.
I mean, I feel like I've worked on movies before where a main character will have 3 variants, and one of them is just wet. Like that's it.
Yeah, you guys have no idea. Like this is so rare to get
Yes.
this many costumes. And first of all, I mean manicures alone,
Yeah.
never heard of. So amazing accomplishment.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna kind of step in here and take a moment to talk about Idol. It's one of my favorite sequences in the movie, and I think it's super special because everyone who got a chance to touch it like elevated it. Really kind of like a Pied Piper into hell type of moment, you know. But like if you had 5, 6 Pied Pipers, it's hypnotizing. Just summon and feed their demon king. You know?
Were any of you guys here yesterday when we talked about how Christine Belson, the president of Sony Animation, said, let's objectify the crap out of these guys? So, here's an example.
I mean, it's also worth it to say that like Ami did this piece early on, and then the whole show we were like crop tops.
Yeah.
We're gonna have crop tops. And actually under the
Crop
your
tops.
and this Scott did this piece as well. It just looked, but it's like under the Your Idol like costume, they actually do have crop tops.
Yeah. Yeah. And like Abby has a mesh crop top.
Yes, we had to decide if we wanted to see his nipple or not.
I think I hear there's some special edition print you should make out of this. This is what
I'm just saying that
Vision
it's
audio.
under there.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure mystery guard.
Yeah, Mystery has a guard. What? I don't know.
No, they're there. So if you guys watch the movie slowly enough, just imagine the crop tops underneath. Yeah, amazing.
Wait, Chris, you're not wearing one today? This is not part of your costume?
Maybe it's underneath.
But yeah, a lot of amazing like early development work.
And these are all Marion.
All Marion. But what I love most about these is there's like a really strong kind of creative statement, like already from the beginning. So Chris and Maggie had some really high aspirations for the sequence. And this was actually one of the first assignments that I jumped into when I started on the project. These are like the earliest thumbnails I did that eventually became the stage for Idol. And initially, we thought it would be fun if the boys were performing in the round, because it really needed to be this big sense of spectacle with it. So our goal for Idol was to make it feel like the entire city of Seoul showed up for the performance, so it needed to be immersive, hypnotizing, and really larger than life. And another key thing was that we needed the audience to feel the weight of the threat. And so it's not just that the stakes were high, but they were also real. So I think putting the concert at the base of Namsan Tower felt like the perfect spot because it was an iconic landmark of Seoul, and it was right in the heart of the city, so everyone could see it. So once we had our initial gray box model set up, we got cameras in there and started scouting the set, and we kind of quickly realized we needed to pivot a little bit just to better match the scale of the space and tell the story that we wanted to tell. And this should play. Yeah, the stage was designed with a lot of intention behind it because it needed to support, the boys' concert, but also it set the stage for the girls' final song and their emotional reconciliation. So it had a lot of heavy lifting to do in terms of storytelling. And this is
Perfect animation.
honestly, looking at it at this stage though was great because we got to do a lot of back and forth between modeling, previs, edit, design.
I mean, you guys laugh, but this is amazing for layout. This is unreal. It's not like this is Unreal Engine.
And yeah, it was great seeing it at this stage because it opened a lot of communication between all the different departments, and that was key because we were trying to get like specific visual storytelling beats, and doing it this way helped us to film it like a real music video and live performance, the iconic dance. But yeah, once we went through that stage, we finalized a lot of our design decisions, and this was our final model from Spy. And much like the designs of the stadium, the concert lighting was pulled from the color and shape motifs of Demon World. It really needed to feel like there was the separation between our world and Demon's world was lost. So a lot of our early color keys focused on exploring that color palette for Idol. And we did, our Angela Zung, the artist who painted all these early keys, did such a great job exploring every kind of idea we can get. So it was really challenging to distill everything into a solid idea.
We kind of joked that we used every possible red in the red spectrum.
Yeah.
We ran out of reds.
And we're like, so much red. How do we make it
Yeah, but
different?
the idea really was that the last of the Han Moon was dying, and the separation of our world and Demon's was lost. So pulling the color identity from Demon World and using that to drive the lighting and color choices for Idol. So it's starting off in the blue. The show starts off in the blue greens and lavenders, kind of like how we see in the intro to Demon World in the beginning of the movie, and then we start ramping up to that really intense magenta red.
Oh.
And when the movie came out, I was actually scrolling TikTok and just watching people's reactions. And one of my favorite ones was that someone said Bima made the best hype man for the boys. They're kind of just imagining Bima backstage, getting ready to jump in. Yeah, and he gets in there, and it's just this really intense magenta red. And we really leaned into that. But it was a delicate balance because we wanted to escalate this moment visually, but we didn't want to step on top of what was still to come for the finale and climax. So it was a lot of push and pull without stepping on what was left to come. And here's our finalized kind of lighting plan. And each of our musical sequences kind of went through the same process. And breaking it up into these different subsections helped us to really focus on the most important ideas. So once we got that done, at this stage it was a lot of collaborative back and forth between lighting. And I remember when we were sitting in the sweat box and we saw the first pass of key lighting come in, the room was kind of just silent for a second. It was so good, and it was just the first pass. We were sitting there just dabbing each other up, like, oh man, it's so good, it's so good.
Okay, Wendell's downplaying this real hard. He was like, fuck. And we just everybody cheered. We were so ecstatic. Everybody, in the Zoom, I don't know, it was about 150 people. We just
but it was one of the
we were celebrating
things. Yeah, it was so fun. But in the back of my head, I was like, oh, we still got to do motion graphics, and we can make this even better.
Yeah.
So I took that. I took our first pass of key lighting, and I did the passive motion graphics on top. I was saying, hey, here's what's going to be on screen. But I also took it as an opportunity to plus some of our lighting choices. And really it was about timing our lighting flashes and our color ramps and the movement of lighting and getting that to have a little bit more musicality to it. And also, we were starting to see some of the first passes of animation come in. And also, I remember we had some choreo ref for the dances. But Josh, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think one of your animators saw it and was like, I can just,
I think this performance, this dance performance was the last one in the movie that we did. So like each one has its own journey and story, but this was all the animation teams thought this was the last time to like go all out.
Yeah.
So they did.
And they did.
Yeah. Chang-sik in particular is like.
Well, I mean, we went
inventing
from
shots.
what you guys saw in the previs of the silly dancing, and then we got this. So
Yeah.
animation really kicked it up.
So I'm just going to share a quick, like 30-second clip, a short clip of what you're going to see on the bottom left is that first pass of key lighting. On the bottom right is some of the motion graphics, and the top is what I was kind of calling our dynamic paint over. So I guess for like a traditional paint over, you're just painting over one frame. But for this, I took the whole sequence, the movie file, and put that into Photoshop, and just started keyframing like my layer adjustments and different like hues, value shifts, and that's what I'm going to play for you right now.
Keeping you in check, keeping you obsessed. Play me on repeat, cause I feel you in your head. Anytime it hurts, playing like the best. I can be as hard as you ever had. No, right now. Don't let me know this time with the power, but
Yeah, and that's it. And this process, we kind of found it a little bit later on in production, and we applied it to. We went back and did the same thing for the music video portion of Dun Dun Dun, How It's Done, and we did it for the climax. But I kind of wish we could go back and.
I know.
I know.
Well, the thing that you don't realize is visuals and music, the way they work together, it's very unpredictable. You kind of think you can just map it out, like, oh, there's a musical change, we'll change the lighting. And it doesn't actually feel that interesting. So the way that the lighting and the visuals kind of respond to the music, it's very much a feel. And there's really no way to do it other than smash them together and watch and play and adjust. So the fact that Wendell kind of cracked the code on how to do that in this animation pipeline where you're about to break that whole thing up into 40 different people's individual shots was really a breakthrough and allowed us to kind of make the visuals really respond to the feeling of the music in this way that you can't totally plan. Pretty smart.
I'm gonna switch over to something more nerdy. Show some of our animation tricks and secrets or illusions. We had to invent a lot in this movie. I'll start with the very first thing I started on when working on the movie, the boys. And like Maggie and Chris said, the mission number one, they were very clear about. These girls were not going to be on small box. The range of emotions are going to be as explosive as it gets. But the boys were going to objectify. This is the very first piece of animation I did on the movie. I should say first and only. And we learned so much doing this. I learned both what to do and what not to do. I learned a ton. I collaborated hands-on, took turns with another animator. First animator on, last one off, Sophia Lee, who was just, especially for that Genu expression there, credit to her. She really helped us define on-model glamour for these boys. And it was our roomie lead as well. But one thing I learned not to do, like thinking animation is going to be a dancing film, I'm thinking, my head's at, okay, we're going to make the most acrobatic, most impossible, over-the-top performances of how they dance. And this is like, it's cool, but it's not right. Like, that's not K-pop. And I'm coming to the table with a lot of ignorance. Like, I'll learn. This is like a new thesis for me to like jump into. And you guys were so patient and pointed me into references and things. It was a big click where
Gina would not do this.
No.
yeah. Well, it's very like antithetical to the goal of K-pop, which is supposed to be the relationship with the fans and the audience, and you need to feel like the dance moves are ones you can do with your friends as a group. Mm-hmm. And this is an individual feat of athleticism, so it contradicts the whole goal.
Yeah.
So that
Super
was
cool though.
But the ending there, before that, so this is where we ended up. But that, like when he stops and had to strike a pose.
Yeah.
That has a name.
Ending.
Yeah.
I think Helen and Celine jumped out of their seats. It needs an ending, Barry. And I'm like, what does that mean? And then they followed up by sending me videos like this. So for those of you like me that didn't know, an ending fairy is like
He's looking right at me, you guys, not you.
basically every single character has to like, or dancer has to have their iconic look to the lens. And what is their relationship?
But it's also like the breathing from like the physical exertion of dancing, like it's also very important.
All right, now let's switch over to expressions. Actually, you jump in here.
Yeah, so back to, I know we touched on TV a little bit, but now we're gonna break down how it happened. And in the beginning, like that was the main question: is like, can these two things exist on the same screen and be believable? And that was super fun. Ami did this a lot, and I thought that it couldn't work, you know, because I grew up with anime. I was like, I think it's a visual style that people understand now. And we were talking about it. It's like the one place that we can actually put this in, and the one first sequence is corn eyes. So Scott did these, and on the bottom you can see it's actually the storyboards, and then he actually plotted out every single step of corn eyes.
Storyboards are Jesse Wong.
Oh, yes. And so we're like, this is like, at the time this felt like the wackiest joke in the movie, and it's crazy that it was like the first one.
It still is.
Yeah.
And so I was like, we just gotta go hard on corn eyes. And then it expanded into doing these kind of chibi sheets for all of the characters. Mira and Zoe also get one, but yeah. And then it also helped us define something in between that we coined demi-chibi, where we would be using elements that we were planning to use for things like corn eyes or whatever, but also be able to put them onto a normal crowd character and change up their expression to get these anime expressions.
This is Uni, right?
Yes, this is Uni. In each one of our character artists.
So we're all pretty proud of how this ended up, but it was a journey.
Yeah.
So everyone at this table here is like pitching all these ideas. These are the goals of the film. We have it needs to be K-drama, K-pop, and anime all merging together, and all the other teams at Sony ImageWorks that I collaborate with we're all like cool. How? Because when you get literal, you got to figure out how to make this and this talk to each other, be the same thing, and be like, we're going to switch between this in the same sequence. So how we did that, we literally built a whole library, more than this even, of stunt floating, what we call demi-chibi pieces. You guys invented the term demi-chibi, I think, right?
Yeah, I think it was either Chris or something like, oh yeah, demi-chibi.
Mm-hmm. And this, so it can be scary when it's not all put together. This is like a network of different patches for like masking and revealing different, and then we had to make this work for different makeup looks as well. So that's why it had to be seamlessly stitched together. And then you're seeing Rumi's mouth and Rick here. Yeah. It can be easily horrifying. But this is the trick. A network, we can have sometimes mask out an eye, sometimes mask out a nose, sometimes make the nose like a little drawing, or just doing it all in the same place. Like here's Zoe doing the same thing. Sometimes we leave the mouth behind. And once we had this built, okay, this is a little bit of a mind builder. So you saw that mouth is floating a foot in front of the head, and then she's ripping off a mask behind it. And that has to work in lighting. So like she can't be in a different shadow and light than that is. So there's a whole bunch of tricky math to make that pulled off. But now we have the trick. Now we can go back and forth, interchangeable in the same sequence doing this. And this is what I mean by lighting. Lighting had to figure out some trickier things because it can't look like if he walks through a door, his mouth goes in before his face. Like, screaming underwater, same bag of tricks.
Maggie asked for a lot of perfectly round nostrils.
Well, and cavernous
nostrils.
The nostrils still aren't dark enough. Yeah, but here's an example of doing it in shot, back and forth between the same thing. Here, I'll frame through. this might be the most extreme one we did. We reshaped all of Zoe. Like, just totally replacing his eyes entirely.
I mean, that's ultimate squash and stretch, right?
Yeah. And like it's hard. So this is an especially sneaky one. She's using her normal mouth for the top lip, and then we're sneaking a fake one behind it, underneath there, and then fake eyes floating in front of it. Okay, animating on twos. I'll just touch on this briefly. The nerds of us call this modulated frame rates because it's a little bit more complicated than just being twos. Because we're trying to take that 2D aesthetic and logic, but make it work in this lighting, realistic computer world. And honestly, I think I straight up begged the directors to let us do it this way. Because to me, it was the device to be able to merge those two photographic looks, because K-pop and K-drama are both very photographic, which means we had to have long lenses and shallow focus. But anime is super graphic and 2D, so having this ability to mess with the frame rates was the trick. But to me, it is at least. So here, I'm gonna step through. I'm just gonna count 1, 2, 1, 2. And you can see the background and our characters are moving at different rates. But at speed, when you're looping here, it's just a little bit punchier, and you're looking at where you're supposed to be looking. And that's how you get this more iconic graphic reads. So because of this photographic look and anime merging, this anime on twos, a thing we'd never had to solve before was how to get that to work with motion blur. On like Spider-Verse, that's a much more aggressively graphic look. There's no soft edges allowed. This movie's about soft edges, gentle blooms. It's very K-drama to have the longest lens possible, so let this climb the leg and lead off the edges. So the way we had to figure that out was our animation. This is the way animation would look when we approve animation. And then after the fact, animators would go in and put these little spheres in there. They made like a rule that you can get camera blur, but no character blur. We're breaking it up into different groups. No motion blur on characters, other than where they sprinkle in this little dot there. It makes a little heat map. So it's showing the degree and what profile of this stuff is happening.
We're very quiet because we don't know anything.
I had no idea this was happening.
He said this was going to be nerdy, so it's okay.
It's like, but the only reason you can see Zoe's face, like traditionally, that would just be blurred into oblivion. It wouldn't see it. And because we put that little sphere just behind her head there, it's only the trailing edges there. So it keeps it from strobing. It still integrates into the lighting world, and this is hot new shit. Okay, synchronizing. Synchronicity is like fundamental in K-pop. I've learned. Like I said, like it's about the choreo and the performances being as timed as efficiently as possible. It's not just animation, though, not just the dances, the lighting, the effects, everything has to be all in sync. It's like each department found like a different trick for how to do that. So this is like the effects and lighting team's trick of making how to be visual, because you get 47 frames of a shot. You don't know whether you're anticipating the beat, hating the beat, and feeling it in a big room of 80 people. We're just watching that one 47 frames loop is an impossible task, especially when you're musically inept like me. So we made it visual on screen. And this is the animation version, the same thing. We like the little ball, bouncing balls in the corner. I lived and died by those. Those are so important to me. So we never had to talk about whether we're on the beat or not. It was just, and every animator knew whether we're hitting it. We just had to chase vibes from here. Mathematically, we're never missing it. And this is how we like plan. This is like the golden sequence. You see that beautiful reference up in the corner. We'd have to do like a little bit of adjusting to make sure who the right person is singing in the front. So that little green diamond is our symbol of this was the one talking. And little balls there just helping us know that's the beat we're actually going to hit while we're going through it. And we end up like this. One more trick in the trying to merge this photographic look with this anime aesthetic was trying to figure out how to break perspective. Because traditionally, this is the only trick you have. If you're trying to work in lenses, you can move the camera and change focal length. But we wanted to break perspective to be less computer perfect for that anime distortion, especially the really heightened anime action. So we distorted the shit out of our characters. We actually had deformers that put the character as if she's on a different lens than the world. and vice versa. We'd have like ways of reshaping the world around her too. So here's like a primitive one, but it's about like, who cares what the actual perspective of the scene? So we're gonna make up perspective lines for what we wish it was. Isn't there? I love this. So we have the characters on a normal camera, but we want the room to feel like it's on an entirely different lens. But instead of having two cameras on this, we just destroy it.
So cool.
And that's how you get this feel where it's like, it's just a little bit more heightened and it's not on a normal camera. We're messing up the cameras, the perspective of the characters and the cameras separately. All right. Last thing, so I have a little mission here to teach everyone that actors are animators. Animators are actors too.
Yes.
They all literally put themselves into the work. So here's a little snippet of some of our team performing out that same sequence with Corn Eyes, the Meet Ugly sequence. It's long and for you it's going to be a little bit out of sync, but you guys will get it.
We got the tonic! Woo! We got the tonic! Yay! Now we're back on track to win Mama!
Yeah.
He found us!
My hood. Hurry. Dress things. Just be cool. Look normal.
Chincho was like, I'm Gino.
That's his team, that's his sequence. Yeah, he's Gino.
You showed up in the outfit and everything.
Oh my god, it's so funny.
We'd like to stream this whole movie, just the reference credits of it.
So, I mean, we haven't even seen it yet, like properly.
So that is two teams in two different cities collaborating. Well, half of them in
Vancouver and Montreal.
Yeah. There's a group of us here as leaders, but we're actually representing a massive team. We'd like to thank and highlight a few. Over 1,800 stops, and over 500 artists, production artists, and technicians working on this film.
Amazing. So we do have a couple minutes up here. If possible, let me just run up the list, up the table here with a couple questions, if you guys don't mind. If you don't mind. Wendell, I'm gonna start with you, all the way down there.
Sure, yeah. Go.
So I could tell, when you were talking about the different phases that you went through to develop, Idol and all that. When you're working on a sequence or even just a shot, how do you know when you're really done? I mean, like, is it? You know it, or you just get told you're done?
This is a trick question.
I know.
No, we were working up until the last minute. I think everything was lit, rendered, lighting was final. We were in DI, which is color correction at the end of the movie, and we're like, can we just make this like eye spec a little bit more blue? And they were like masking things out. We were still making adjustments up until the very end. So I think to answer your question, it's done when it's in the Netflix.
Out of your possession. Yeah, I got it.
When we have no more time.
Yeah, pretty much you would keep finessing it, I think, if you could. But then again, we couldn't share it if you kept doing that, so I get it. So Josh, obviously, yes, the animators are actors, but how do you set yourself up for a different scene? Like, 'cause a scene, you know, like the Meet Ugly or that's very different than a musical number versus Derpy and his little OCD-ness. You know, I mean, like, how do you prep for a scene, like, when they're so different?
Well, just like actors, casting is such a big part of it. So knowing your team and knowing their strengths, and we have a huge team, and some of them are experts at this one thing. There's some people that are like, there's this one guy who you'd never guess is just so good at action, and there's other people that are just great at appeal and charm and performance, and so doing that, and some people can do it all and hop between these things. That's the trick, and then most of the time, you have to just love getting out of your comfort zone and figuring it out. And that's when you're doing something new. That's what we're all going to do.
Okay, that's great. Helen, I have to ask. I could tell your energy and your excitement is so much into the fact that you could do all this makeup and hair and costuming stuff. Like, what does that feel like? Because I swear that is so not happening in the industry, that you could have this much fun with it, with all the things you did with the ladies. How'd that feel, like, to get that?
To be honest, I am not good at makeup. but actually it was like a team effort and everybody got into it. Like, I remember Scott Watanabe came in one day and he's like, I watched, you know, so many Korean makeup videos. He's like, did you know there's purple blush? He like, I always made fun of Chris because every makeup thing was mascara to him. He was like, what about that mascara? I'm like, we're talking about our eyebrows. So it was a journey for everybody, and I feel like everybody got into it and learned what they could, no matter whether, you know, if you're a girl or you use makeup or you don't.
Yeah, it's just an amazing range that I've never seen before in an animated film. So incredible that you can harness all that and make such an incredible presentation of it. So Chris, what did you know about K-pop and that whole genre before this film, and what did you come to appreciate most from it afterwards?
I had about 15 years of K-pop fandom, not like Maggie, I wasn't truly the OG, but I think there's a really wonderful, a very special relationship between the stars and the fans, in the sense that they're lifted up as idols and as incredibly talented and beautiful, blah, blah, blah. But they also often present themselves, like when Josh and I went to the Blackpink concert, like the last 15 minutes, they just all came out in their jeans and they were like, thank you for coming to our show. And they sort of present this very elevated version of themselves, but they also present maybe a more real-ish version, and the fans love that. And I think that a lot of the movie was kind of trying to talk about the deeper relationship you can have if you are not just pretending to be one thing and showing a full version of yourself. So yeah, I think I always loved the music, but I think I understood the fandom better by the end of it.
Yeah, well, and I think honestly you guys are channeling that right now. Like, you're here sharing behind the scenes and you're real persons with your fans. So I feel like you've carried that through.
This is my no makeup look also.
We'll check him out later. Maybe he'll have the manicure and all that done. We'll see. I'm still hoping for the mesh top, the crop top, so we'll see. So Maggie, assuming you did not make a deal with the Demon World to garner the success of this film, I just want to know, like you were talking about the Ha Moon, you made this up, whatever. You're adding to mythology. Like, you are living that, you know, bringing mythology forward, and what does it feel like to be on this side of what's become this phenomenon? I can't even imagine.
Oh, I mean, I can't even begin to express. It's so surreal. Like, just even, you know, talking about the Homun, it's just this weird word I made up to because this thing felt so important to our mythology, and it needed a name, and it felt like it needed a name that was kind of Korean. And so I just put together, I've made lists of things Korean words that could relate, like spirit and ghost, or, you know, and a lot, or like barrier, and all the Korean words were very hard to pronounce for an English-speaking audience, so it just became a combo of like Hon, which is spirit, and Moon, which is like a door, so it's like a spirit door, kind of. And and Chris and I talk about this all the time, where even like Twice performed at Lollapalooza, and then it's like Homeland is sealed. Like the fact that this word is now K-pop, but also like pop culture canon is so wild to me. And I mean, just seeing the photos of the crew, I'm gonna cry.
It's a beautiful thing you made, of course.
Yeah, it's just. I really had no idea, guys. Like I just wanted to make a stupid movie about silly girls and really celebrate my heritage. And I really had no idea that this would be loved this much. And I'm just so grateful to everybody, to all the fans, for loving this as much as we love this movie. And I'm just so grateful for the entire crew for just putting so much of their lives and love into this, because it's not possible with all of us, you know. We're a community, and we uplift each other, and we support each other, and this is what it's about. We just want to create really cool shit, right? So I hope that this encourages people who are kind of scared. I was really scared to make this because it's very personal to me, and I hope that we can all break out of that fear and show stuff that, you know, that's different, and support each other in sharing all that.
I think your vision and your authenticity is well embraced and well shared by your fellow crew and the greater world. So thank you for that. And I just want to say, as we wrap things up here, I hope this panel offered more insight to you. You saw some amazing behind-the-scenes footage and storytelling from these incredible artists up here. So I hope that the next time you watch it on Netflix, you'll see some more depth and some understanding of all the red and all the action and all the things that, you know, they think about every single frame, every detail of every frame. And so I hope you'll appreciate that color and the fashion and the energy that they've put into this, and obviously the heart and the soul and the beautiful, authentic storytelling that we see. So I want to thank our amazing panel. Thank you for taking the time and effort to make this today. Thank you to Sony Pictures Animation and Imageworks for this incredible film, and to Netflix for sharing it with the world and bringing us together today. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your time at LightBox and your next viewing of K-pop Demon Hunters. Take care, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, guys.